Searching for a new home is fun, exciting, but it's very easy to feel overwhelmed. And then once you do find that house, how do you make your offer stand out among others, or how do you get it under contract? Well, I'm here to tell you guys, I'm here to help. I want to make sure that you are taken care of and making sure that you are making the good decisions for you and your family. So let's see what it's like searching for your home and how we make that offer. What's going on, everybody? My name is Kyle Powers. I am your local real estate expert here in the Manhattan, Kansas area, and I'm here to help you guys throughout the entire process and through this buyer series. So we are now in the process of Homesearch, right? And everybody's like, oh, that's fine. I can look at everything online on Zillow and Realtor.com and all the fun stuff. You can, you absolutely can. I totally get that. And honestly, that's where I do it too whenever I'm looking elsewhere or whenever I first start my search. But there's something to be said, or something that you should enjoy about having somebody in your corner, i.e. me or a real estate professional looking out for you and helping you out through that process. So first thing first, how do we start that search? The way I always start this is, let's figure out priorities, right? What are your priorities? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Do you need a fireplace? I know for me, that's always a priority number one, even before the bedroom count, right? I need to know if it has a fireplace. That's one thing. We may not do it all the time, but I love a nice fire. And so having a nice wood burning fireplace, by the way, that's a big one for me. Having a wood burning fireplace will make or break a house for me. And so I always like to have that. So is it 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom? And do you need that 4th bedroom as an office or a guest bedroom? Or do you need 5 bedrooms because you also need an office because you work from home? So there's different priorities, right? Fenced in yard or not fenced in yard. Is it that big of a deal to add a fence for you and your family? Or do you need a large backyard? Or are you good with something out of a shoebox kind of backyard? There's a lot of differences. Then we go into what style you like, right? Do you want a split level or do you want a ranch? There's a million different ways to how you can kind of set your priorities. Now, when I say this, I'm talking everything to, and then also like proximity to downtown, or proximity to the west side of town because you work out on Fort Riley, or proximity to the east side of town because you work in Topeka. I don't know what those are. That's where you come in and you have to actually set those. Now, what I will tell you about these priorities is, don't be so hard fast on, I need 4 bedrooms. Because that 4th bedroom, maybe you only need, or maybe you find a 3-bed, 2-bath that's absolutely perfect, but it has an unfinished basement. Well, if that's the case, great. You've got plenty of space that you could go finish off a basement eventually, right? And maybe you only need that 3rd, but you can retrofit that basement to have an office or whatever that may be, right? Like, there's things that can change. There's things that you can manipulate with a home and that way. And I actually was just helping a client. We did our final walkthrough yesterday, and she's like, man, when I first started this process, I absolutely dead set about doing a remodel and everything that comes with that. And I said, yeah. I said, but now we just created an opportunity that you can now go in, make this space exactly what you want, still within budget, and you have built equity into that home immediately. And so I think that that's the big thing, is just be open-minded. Don't be so hard fast on these certain priorities. Now, you're gonna have certain things, right? Like you need 2 bathrooms. Most people want 2 bathrooms. And most people need 2 bathrooms, especially if you've got kids. You don't want to, there's a whole thing there with that too. So I know my wife and I always fight with our kids about access to the bathroom and everything there, but you want that, right? You want to have 2 bathrooms to be able to do that. But that's the kicker, right? Don't be so hard fast in these certain priorities or certain things that you can't open your mind up to other opportunities, and at least seeing that. Because like I said, that client that I'm talking about, if she would have been so hard fast on her set, we would not have got her the house that she needed, wanted, and didn't know that she wanted, right? Now she's got going to have a beautiful home with a big outbuilding that they're going to be able to create a different space in there, and just over an acre of land. Next thing I want to talk to you about is just being efficient in your home search, right? I will set you up on my MLS search, whether it be on my website, the MLS, or anything in between. Every realtor I always talk to is like, oh, I hate Zillow, I hate that. I do too, but it's kind of one of those things where it's a necessary evil. Truthfully, Realtor.com has come leaps and bounds from where they were even 5 years ago. So those two are probably your biggest front-facing sites for searching and everything there. When I say being efficient is, what's the best time of day to go? Can you get off work? Can you do it this way? Can you be flexible on how fast you get into a home? Because if it comes back on the market or comes on the market right out of the gate, we got to be quick on it, because there's 65 houses on the market right now, and that's from 100 grand to 1.2 million. So there's a wide range, but a very small amount of houses. So if one hits that's perfect for you, we need to get on it. We need to get on it quickly. So that too, one thing of being efficient, what I always tell my clients is, go drive by the home. Does the neighborhood feel good? If you have the ability to, sometimes you don't. But drive by the home. Is it a good feeling neighborhood? Do you enjoy the feel of what it is? Drive by in the evenings, drive by in the mornings, drive by. You're going to get a little bit stalkerish, but that's okay, because you're going to move your family into this place. You need to make sure that you are feeling comfortable with it. Because I've got one where I had a client send me the other day, they're like, hey, we really love this house. We want to go take a look at it. I'm like, go drive by, let me know your thoughts. And when they drove by, literally, this is not an exaggeration, the driveway, the house sat up here, the street's down here, the driveway was this. You would have worn out your parking brake before your first month of being in that house, because it was so, it was horrible. But that's what I told them. I said, drive by. If you're good with what you see on the outside, then let's go in and take a look at it. Getting efficient with it. If you know your non-negotiable is, you need to have a flat driveway so the kids can play basketball. Great. That house with a 50-degree incline isn't going to work for you. So you just need to kind of be aware of what you have and what you can do, and do kind of, that's why I say being efficient with it, because then you're not messing with the sellers, then you're not messing with your time, and then you're not messing with scheduling time with me as well. And so that's part of it, of being efficient with your time and efficient with your home search. If you can go through quickly and just say, yep, I know I don't like that, or yep, I know I can paint that wall, I can change this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Cool, let's go on and look at that one. Boom, we're moving on. It goes very quickly when it comes to that. Okay, so now what I want to talk to you about is actually touring the homes, right? This is the fun part, right? I love getting into homes, and I bring my family involved with it too. My kids, my 8-year-old has probably been in more homes than you have in his short time period, because we go through so many in a year. But the thing with that is, when we are touring homes, it's not just, oh, the floor looks great, the paint, I love this color, I love that. You need to actually be diligent when you're going through there, right? Start that process of, all right, envisioning yourself. Can I make dinner here and still be okay with the family, watching them play as I'm cooking dinner? Is this an opportunity that we can, I don't know, a lot of people like to entertain. So can we entertain and be efficiently using this space? Does this function well for us? Can I envision my family moving into this home and making sure that we have the ability to do those things, right? And it's a lot of that stuff where you have to look past the aesthetics and look past all that stuff in order to really dive deep into what it is. I let you guys do that and start kind of functioning your own stuff out. This is the way I tour homes. I let you do kind of that, and then I start going looking at stuff. I'm looking for water stains. I'm looking for settlement. I'm looking for, drainage and age of units. And I'm looking at all the stuff that you probably aren't looking at. So I'm able to go out there and really kind of dive into these homes without getting deep into, intrusive with it. That's what the home inspector is for. And we will do home inspections. We will do all that stuff. We're going to talk about that in a later video. But I always look for red flags just so we can understand, okay, we need to get a structural engineer out here. Okay, we need to get an HVAC guy out here, and this is why. And we kind of go into those pieces of it. So that's what we're doing when we're actually touring the homes. If you have kids, absolutely, please bring them with you. It's their home too. I want the kids to be there and be a part of that. What I ask whenever you do have kids, young, old, I don't care what it is. If they're mobile and you're not holding them, just a rule of thumb for me is just, it's not our home. We're there to look at it, especially if it's occupied. I don't care if it's an empty house and they're running around and doing the echoes and all that kind of stuff. That happens. Like, don't ever stress about that. At least with me, don't ever stress about that, because really that's their kids, right? They get that, right? We all get that. But what I do get a little nervous about is when they're starting to play with the other kids' toys and they're starting to do this, and I don't want to see anything get broken or anything like that, or ripped or torn down or anything destructive. So more of an FYI and a please from me is that if and when we go to start touring homes, you're actually being diligent with your kids and saying, okay, listen, these are not our things. This is not our home. We need to respect their things and not play with the toys and not play with all of these things. So again, if it's vacant, who cares? Go crazy. As long as they're not tearing anything up, I'm not going to stress about it, and you shouldn't either. Okay, so next thing on the list is actually crafting that winning offer, getting that one that makes that offer work for you and for that seller as well. And so one of the things I always tell people is, first and foremost, do not get emotional. Okay, I know this is really hard for a lot of people to do, and I get it. I've been there. I know that. Like, I got emotional on a house that we bought this year, and we technically overpaid for it. However, it's gonna be okay. But my point is, don't get emotional about it. It's you as a buyer, we're trying to get you the best terms, and them as a seller, they're trying to get the absolute best money that they can. That said, I will tell you, not every strong offer is based on price. Maybe this seller needs out in less than 30 days, and you can offer them cash or offer them a quick close. That is more important to them than making that extra $10,000, right? Maybe an as-is sale is way more important to them up front than that extra $10,000 on it all. So having understanding those pieces of it and everything that comes with that, the contingencies, the appraisal contingency, the inspection contingency, the loan approval contingent. I mean, there's a lot of contingencies to actually take care of you and protect you as the buyer. We need to understand that those contingencies could technically be worth more to the sellers than it may be worth, and I think that's something to kind of understand. The other one is you need to have your earnest money. You need to have your earnest money in. Typically, those are 5 business days to have that earnest money deposited. Don't forget that. My team and I will absolutely help you and making sure that you're good on meeting those, getting that stuff in. And then having our deadlines, right? Like, I want to have our deadlines all met, all taken care of, and typically you're 5 days for earnest money, and 14 to 15 days is pretty common for inspections. That's to do whole home, sewer line, whatever the inspections that you may want. It gives you the opportunity to do all those. Now, those deadlines are very, very, very important, because if you were to miss a deadline, it is very hard, and you can absolutely, if you catch a seller who's hard nosed on stuff, they will absolutely take you to the cleaners on stuff. We had I'll give you an example. Thankfully, the seller on that end and the agent on that end were very understanding of where we were at. But we switched contracts, and the first time I ever missed a deadline was this year. Thankfully, because the contracts were all different than what we had. But thankfully, the seller and the seller's agent were still very amicable and very willing to work with us through the process. But we were able to really it can be very detrimental to a deal and absolutely ruin a good opportunity for you to have the sellers fix things. So deadlines are very important as well. The other piece of writing that offer is again diving into what is driving that seller. This is where I come in, and I like to think that I do really well. I talk to the listing agent. I understand, like, okay, what closing date? Where are we at here? What motivates them? Do they want the money? Do they want the closing date? Do they want to stay longer because their kid graduates from school in May? So do they want to stay longer, or do they want to get out sooner? Like, all of that matters. And then understanding, like, listen, when we go to do a whole home inspection and do our inspections, we're not going to start hitting you with, tighten this doorknob and make sure this is fixed, and make sure that we're not going to do that. We're going to hit the major items because those are the big ticket items. Like, I had one, we literally just went through inspections and everything that way. We negotiated in a new heating and air system, heat and air, it's about $8,900. We had them put on a new roof. and new gutters. And I mean, we just went all over them, but all the major systems were failing. And here's the thing, thank that seller, we negotiated that in, that seller took care of all of it. And they were like, yep, that's good, we're good with it, let's go. We were like, okay, great. But we didn't nitpick them for doorknobs and paint colors and this and this and this and this and this. It was big ticket items, HVAC system, roof, gutters, like you name it. The big systems, termite was needed done, and radon done. Like all of those things needed to be done, but nobody had taken the time to do that. So we asked for the major stuff. We didn't care about the little stuff. Like in fact, we asked for a lot of things, and I told my clients, I said, listen, let's shoot for the moon, and if we miss, we're in the stars. Like, we're okay, right? So we did. We asked for it, and they ultimately took care of a lot of the major issues. So, but a lot of those things can be a negotiating point for writing a solid offer as well. Common mistakes that home buyers do is that they will overlook deal breakers and compromise too much on a home. And that can go both ways, right? I've got an example. Like I had a client of mine a couple years ago. They told me what they wanted. They were like, I want this and this price range and blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, cool. And so we went and looked at one house, and they're like, nah, we don't like it. And then we started looking at a couple more houses, and we were like, oh, we want this, we want this, we want this, we want this. And so finally I came back to them. I said, guys, let's go back and look at this house. It was a pretty nasty house, I will say that. But I said, let's go back and look at this. I said, because everything you're talking about can absolutely be created in this home, and you're going to get it for a lesser price, and you're going to just have to put a little bit of work into it. They went in and they were like, so we took a second look at the house, and they came back in like, holy cow, you're right. Like, let's do this. The whole house, I mean, the yard was, I'm not kidding you guys, it was 6 feet tall of weeds and nastiness. And like they found bird baths and stones and all kinds of beautiful yard art and things that they had no idea was there, because it was so tall with weeds and nastiness and little trees that were about this big around. Like it would just, anyway, they found a freaking koi pond in their backyard that they had no idea was back there. Totally overgrown. The inside was just as bad. And so I was like, take this out, we move this around, you paint these cabinets, do all new floors throughout the main living and get it all, and it turned out perfect. Like they crushed the remodel, and it was the first house, and it was the opportunity. They have so much equity in that house now. I don't even think they understand how much they have, because they were able to put a little bit of sweat equity into it. And that's the way I always like it. But doesn't necessarily always have to be. But that's what I'm saying, is that anything with a home, any deal breaker or anything there can be changed potentially, right? Like location you obviously can't change, but everything within the home can be changed. And I think that's I see buyers overlooking these potential homes just because they don't envision what they could have in that home with what they're looking at. The other thing that I see happen often is that buyers fall for the staging, right? Let me say that again. They fall for the staging. And what I mean by that is they see this beautiful furniture and beautiful this and da, and that's all they see. They don't look past the holes in the wall or the nasty floors, because they're looking at this beautiful carpet and they don't think about that, right? And I think that's why staging works, but that's why you also need to look past that and be able to look past that and envision what you've got, envision what you have the opportunity to have or going to be left with when all that stuff leaves. So common mistakes during the offer process: getting emotional. And that I cannot say that enough. And what I mean by that is we get into bidding wars, or we get into this and we get into that, and you're like, you're firing numbers back and forth, and you're like, oh yeah, we can make that work. It's only X amount more. It's only this much more. I can stop doing this and stop doing that. No, stop. Don't do that. Like, set your number. I always give people the sentiment of this, like, if you've ever been to an auction, I don't care if I set my number at $100 on one item and it goes to 101, I'm okay. I'm backing away, and that's where I'm at. Like, and trust me, I've fallen prey to auctions and everything else too, but I set my number at 100 and I'm not going $1 over. And it's the same thing when you're looking at getting into bidding wars and things there. because it will absolutely crush you once the dust settles and you're looking like, oh shit, we just added $500 to our monthly payment. That's a chunk, guys. I mean, that's more than stop drinking coffee at Starbucks chunk, right? And that can happen very quickly. So be aware of that. Be semi non-emotional, which is where I try to come into that and have you guys not get emotional with it. And if you do, I try to check you a little bit. So that's a big piece of that. The next thing is not acting fast enough. We are in a very competitive market and have been for a while. There's a fine line between acting too fast and not acting fast enough. And we try to get in the middle there, because if you like a house, typically you're not able to get a second, third, fourth showing like you were, 8 years ago, 6 years ago. So you're not going to be able to get those second, third showings. You put it under contract, we go into inspections, you do your inspections, that's when you're able to kind of really dive into the house a little bit. I don't recommend this, but you do have that, right? Like you have that inspection period where you can get out of a contract if you didn't like the inspections, or you acted too fast or something like that. Again, I don't recommend that because that can get pretty expensive once you start doing inspections. But there are opportunities, there are safeguards that we can actually kind of get out of contracts if need be. But you also need to be acting quickly in this competitive market. How do I know if I'm offering too much? Again, that's what I'm here for, right? I run my comparables, I run my numbers, I understand what our market's doing. And again, I've been selling real estate in this town now for 10 years, and I understand what our market has come to, and I understand where we're going, and I understand all of that. And so we'll talk very in detail with everything, so you understand what the numbers are. And I'm very brutally honest with it. When I tell people my numbers, I'm usually pretty darn good on where my price is. But I'm brutally honest with you. Like if you go say, if it's 300,000, you're like, I want to offer 325. I'm going to tell you, listen, I hear you, I know what you're saying, but you're going to overpay for it if you do that. And if you tell me at that point, I don't care, I love this house and I want it. Cool. I'm not your mom, I'm not your dad. You do what you want with your own money. I'm going to get you the best deal and best terms that I can for you at that point in time. But I am brutally honest with my clients to make sure that they understand what they're getting, what they're paying for, and everything, and where it potentially could go to. Another one I get often is, what if my offer isn't accepted? That's fine. Take a deep breath. Now we've gone through the process. You understand what writing offers and all that stuff looks like. But that's okay. We keep moving on. Knock on wood, right? Knock on wood, I've yet to find somebody a house that they didn't love. And I think one of the things with that is that everything's meant to be, right? Like if it's meant to happen, it'll happen. Don't stress about it. We'll keep moving on. We'll find something else. We'll get it. It will work out the way it's supposed to work out. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that I'd like to kind of transpire to you, I guess. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you really are ready to start your home search and get the ball rolling and maybe even start making offers, whatever that is, reach out to me. I want to help. I want to get you taken care of, and I want to make sure that you are educated throughout this entire process of buying a home. Buying a home is not overwhelming. It is fun. It is exciting for you, your kids, your spouse. I don't care who it is. This is a fun time to really get into all of this stuff. And so just understanding and learning a little bit more about what we have here is and what the options that you have whenever you're searching for your home or buying your home. I'm here to help. I want to help. So reach out to me. My personal cell phone number is 785-477-5485. My email is kyle@homesforsalemhk.com. And as always, if you are enjoying this content, please go and hit that subscribe button. Go and hit that little bell so you get notified of any future content. Give us that like because it does help us grow the channel. And if you know somebody that is interested in all of this stuff or interested in any of it, please reach out to them. Please send this video to them. And make sure that you tune in for next week, because next week we are going to talk about what happens after your offer is accepted and what that looks like for inspection periods, earnest money, and everything in between to make sure your home journey continues. So thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you later.